morning, Penny. Another controversial story this morning, as you said. Now, this is a row that's been simmering for some time about breeding characteristics of dogs, but it came to a head yesterday with an article in the Daily Telegraph which claims that of the 200 or so pedigree breeds of dog in this country, 150 had significant hereditary disease that caused them serious problems. Now, for example, we're talking about wolfhounds, which are bred to be big, so they end up developing bone cancer, it's claimed. Dachshunds, which are bred to have very short legs and long backs, end up with spinal problems, or so it's claimed. We've got a couple of examples of the sort of things we're talking about here. And first of all, let me show you these two. These are chow chows, beautiful dogs, Dottie and Missy. I can't tell you how teddy bear-like and soft they are. But the problem it's claimed with these is that they're bred to have small eyes, and that can cause their eyelids to turn inwards, and that can be very painful for the dogs. Now, these two have got perfectly fine eyes, but this is a problem it's claimed with many of this breed. And let's move over here and look at these two. These are the bull terriers, gorgeous dogs again here. This is Smiler, and that's Blondie over there. Smiler's a particular friend of mine this morning. And again, it's the same problem, bred to have very small eyes. You can see they do have small eyes. Now, again, these two are perfectly healthy, but it's claimed that these eyes can cause them problems. The article in the Telegraph says that there are some 30,000 problems with pedigree dogs, and that more are being discovered every day. And I think now you're going to hear from both sides who can argue it out and say just what they think of it all.
Jackie, thank you very much. Well, joining me now is Beverly Cuddy, editor of Dogs Today, and Crufts Caroline Kisko from the Kennel Club. Good morning. Beverly, you sparked off all this. Why now?
Well, I get to see pet owners all the time. The result of all these dogs in the show ring, the majority of pedigree dogs end up as pets. I get to meet even my Tesco delivery driver says, I bought a Labrador Retriever, Kennel Club registered, didn't know anything about hip dysplasia. We're facing a bill of £10,000 for hip replacement surgery. And normal people can't afford to do that. They don't want to see their dogs suffer as well. Health problems are huge.
And it's only because of this breeding to specifics, as it were.
It's a complex issue. That we've had dogs for 100,000 years as our best friends. We bred them for function. Only in the last 150 years have we had dog shows and kennel clubs. And in that time, we've changed the way we breed. We've changed for a human idea of beauty rather than for function. And things have gone a bit mad. We need to put the priorities back in place and realise, well, yes, we might find these things attractive, but they might not actually be in the dog's best interest sometimes.
Caroline, if I can come to you. So we're breeding dogs which have a shorter life expectancy and terrible health problems in this quest for alleged beauty.
Well, as Beverly knows, the Kennel Club and breeders have been doing an awful lot of work in order to resolve problems. But I just want to come back on a couple of the things that Beverly said there, that there are 30,000 genetic problems in dogs. There are actually only 20,000 genes that the dog actually has, so to have 30,000 problems would be physically impossible. In reality, the dog has some 500 identified genetic diseases. The human being has 3,000. So that just puts things somewhat more in perspective. In addition to that, in fact, most of the modern breeds have actually only been about for the last 200 years, and the dog was only domesticated some 20,000 years ago. So I think we just need to get the facts straight before we start throwing too much mud around.
But surely, Caroline, I mean, the point is we don't breed humans to be, to have small eyes or enormous ears or very long backs, which then, of course, bring their own problems.
Of course they do, and we absolutely accept that. In both of these breeds, they have actually done an awful lot in order, or certainly with the Chow Chow has done an awful lot to actually put problems right. They are an example of a breed that's turned itself around and is now breeding very, very healthy dogs. In the Bull Terrier's case, there isn't a problem in the first place. Small eyes in the Bull Terrier do not cause the dogs a problem. They don't get ingrowing eyelashes or enrolling eyelids. So that is just a myth. And what the Kennel Club is doing with breeders is working hard to put these things right.
OK, Beverly, the Kennel Club is doing its best.
It's not good enough. If we look to Europe, the Swedish Kennel Club, which is much younger than ours, made health testing mandatory 20 years ago. So every dog in that country, when it's bred, the health status is known. At the moment, we've got some really good health tests. Breeders it's down to altruism, whether they they truly choose to do them. And at the moment, it's a tiny percentage that are tested before being bred from, and it should just be all of them.
Well, we have to leave it there. I know both of you are coming back on again a little bit later on. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you, Caroline. And you can join the debate on controversial breeding practices on the website gm.tv online on your mobile as well. Text the word mobile to 81189 and follow the instructions.
Hi there, it is 21 minutes to 8. Many of you got very angry yesterday when we talked about the docking of dogs' tails on the show. Well, this morning, as the world's biggest dog show, Crufts, gets underway, there's further controversy. Breeders are being accused of trying to create the perfect pedigree dogs to the detriment of their health. Well, Jackie Cablet is in Birmingham for us this morning. Morning, Jackie.
Good morning, Ben. Yeah, this is a row which has been simmering for some years, but it came to a head yesterday on the eve of Crufts with an article in the Daily Telegraph which claimed that of the 200 or so pedigree dog breeds in this country, around 150 have significant hereditary disease that causes them problems. For example, Irish Wolfhounds are bred to be big, so they say they're prone to bone cancer. Dachshunds are bred to have very long spines and short legs, so they can have back problems. I've got a couple of other examples here of the sort of thing we're talking about. Take a look at these two beautiful chow chows here. Now, the problem it's claimed with chow chows is that they're bred to have very small eyes, and that can cause their eyelids to turn in and their eyelashes to scratch their eyes and so on and cause them problems. So these two are beautifully healthy and gorgeous this morning, but that is a problem with this particular breed. And over here we've got bull terriers, and again you can see these two gorgeous dogs. This is Smiler and Blondie, and they also bred to have small eyes. Now you can see their eyes are very small. Again, these are two beautiful, perfectly healthy examples, but again this is a problem that's claimed with the breed. Now, the lady who wrote this article claims that there are some 30,000 faults like these with pedigree breeds, and that more are being discovered every day. So it really is a pretty controversial subject, Ben.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Jackie. Well, joining us in the studio is Beverly Cuddy, editor of Dogs Today, the very lady that sparked off this discussion. Why did you do it specifically now? Is it to align yourself with Crufts?
Well, it's the one time in the year where everyone remembers dogs. So we'd like to remind the Kennel Club, who runs Crufts, to put health a bit higher up the agenda. We see in other countries mandatory health testing before breeding, and we really need that in this country. We need good government. We need the future of dogs to be protected. I talk to pet owners all the time, and when you buy a Kennel Club registered dog, you imagine it's a mark of quality. But I talk to people who've bought a Kennel Club registered dog and then it's got hip dysplasia, and they've faced a bill of £10,000 for hip replacement surgery, and it's terribly distressing.
And that's as a result of the dog being bred to be a certain shape, a certain size, have certain features?
Well, there are tests that could be done before breeding that will improve the chances of healthy hips, healthy eyes.
Okay.
There's lots of tests in existence that at the moment only the good breeders do.
But we don't have as a uniform.
The minority of people are doing the testing. The majority of dogs are bred without anyone knowing what the results are going to be.
OK, well, let's go to Caroline Kisko from the Kennel Club now, who joins us live from Crufts. Morning, Caroline. We'll talk about what Beverly's saying in terms of our dogs. Why isn't there this mandatory testing for breeding?
Well, we're not a government organisation. We are simply a voluntary recording of pedigrees, so we can't mandate that people will or won't do certain things. But we do encourage all of our breeders to take part in all of the health tests that are available. We now have an accredited breeder scheme.
Caroline, you could say, though, as the Kennel Club, Caroline, if I may, you could say, couldn't you, what we recommend or what we absolutely decree is that every member of the Kennel Club must do these mandatory tests for the breeding of the dogs.
Yep. Yeah, we certainly, well, we do. We encourage everybody, and we, as Beverly fully well knows, health is our #1 priority, and the Kennel Club has been working extremely hard with breeders over the last few years to make sure that dogs are healthy. What Beverly's saying is absolutely just not true. These breeders are working very hard to make sure that their breeds are healthy,
okay, Caroline,
and that's why
break
the
in there,
Chow Chow
Caroline,
is
if I
sitting
may.
with good eyes.
Beverly's shaking her head vigorously at that point. She's saying what you're saying is not true. And as you know, the Kennel Club place sort of the health of the dogs as their utmost priority. You disagree?
I disagree. The Swedish Kennel Club, which is much younger than ours, 20 years ago made it mandatory to do tests before breeding. The Kennel Club registered 47,000 Labrador Retrievers last year. In 35 years, only 100,000 dogs have been tested for hip dysplasia. It's disgusting. Every single dog that has hip dysplasia, and I think there's 100 breeds that suffer from hip dysplasia, should be tested before breeding.
Yeah. And so, Caroline, is there a chance that this will carry on? I must give you the opportunity to reply to that. Is there a chance that you will actually start trying to make this more mandatory?
No, we're not going to make it mandatory. What we're doing is encouraging people into our accredited breeder scheme, and we're doing all of the things that we've already been doing to make sure that breeders breed healthy dogs. What Beverly's saying is simply untrue.
OK, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Unfortunately, we don't have much time for this, but do let us know what you think at home. You can join this debate. It's a very controversial debate on breeding practices on the website gm.tv.